Hi, and welcome to What? You haven't seen that? With your host, Joe Chencharik. Today's film is Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark with my guest, Randall Sans. Randall, how are you?
Oh, Joe, I'm so glad to get this monkey off my back. So glad.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big one. This is one that people grow up with.
I do agree with you. It's definitely something I feel like is better if you would have grown up with it. You get that nostalgic feeling for it that you kind of don't get as an adult. But at the same time, it's still a fun action adventure movie, and it's Spielberg.
It is Spielberg. So, Randall, before we even begin, I want to just ask what are some of your movie background? Like, what is your background with film and just you overall in movies?
It's so, like me. I've always liked movies. Like that's just like growing up. Like I would always just watch movies on repeat. I probably saw a lot of movies way too young.
Same.
Like it just had like Terminator 2, Aliens. Like those were like the first movies I saw as a kid. And when I mean like kid, I mean like 3, 4.
Oh wow.
5.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I was in the theater watching Jurassic Park at the age of 4, and I remember like every bit of it. That's my first theater experience.
So Spielberg is ingrained in you. So this is a perfect one for you to pick, and also a head scratcher of how you have not seen Indy before.
Correct.
And what are like your preconceived notions of Indiana Jones in this movie, and your experience in past with Indy? Because I know it's so ingrained in pop culture.
Yeah. So like, of course, like it's ingrained in pop culture. Like you said, like you know about the whip, you know about the hat, you know Harrison Ford with the scruff, like that is like Indiana Jones. But like the thing that like even without having seen the movie, like you know the score of Indiana Jones. Like that's just something that everyone knows. Like Star Wars, you know it even if you haven't seen it. Like it's just part of everything.
It is. My first memory of it is in the Rugrats movie with Tommy, and he's imagining he's Indy and he's running from his mom who's pregnant, and the ball that they're running from is her pregnant belly. I mean, it's weird, but that is the most pinpoint I could say of ingrained in culture could be, because like what kid watching Rugrats at like 4 or 5 would actually know the reference?
Exactly, and that's a perfect example. That's a perfect example of how like they've ingrained it in everything.
Yeah,
like for us growing up, and even now, like there's still stuff like people know who Indiana Jones is.
I mean, I feel like if you watch like a little older, obviously, but like if you watch like Family Guy and stuff like that, you've probably seen the whole film, because I think they've parodied every single clip.
At this point, I don't see why they wouldn't have. I'm pretty sure they've done the refrigerator and Crystal Skull. I'm pretty sure.
That's right. You were telling me before we started recording that you've seen Crystal Skull, and I like feel bad for you that like that's your only experience with Indy.
Yeah, like Crystal Skull, Temple of Doom, like those are the two. Like that was also like those two I had seen like a few years back while I was in college, like while they were on TV. I caught them.
Oh, I could just not TV. It never has the same punch.
And that's true because they edit it and all that. But like, yeah, that's my experience. But I understood like the type of movie that I was getting into before I saw it.
Yeah, this movie, so I'm gonna go right into it. It starts off with a bang, and most of Spielberg's films, to this point, I guess, did have that similar. I know Jaws has that slow burn, but it's a very like memorable scene.
Yeah,
with the girl in the water. This, I think, has that same impact. It's not a cold open, obviously, but you start off and you're on the adventure, and already the ball, the scruffing of the beard, and the throwing of the sandbag to replace it with the shrine. It's instantly memorable and iconic.
Yeah, I loved all that. Like even like when they first come in and like he stops the guy and like he triggers the trap and like the spikes come out and the skeletons on it.
So good.
Like I love how like, every time one of those skeletons comes out, like they always like kind of like have that like ghostly yell or yawn. It's like it's
so
and
much
they turn at you. like and move. I'm like,
It's
that's so cool.
it's a ride. I
Yeah,
mean, it's that's so the effects and the practical effects of that and the theatrics are so much fun in this movie.
it's kind of what's missing from movies today. Like, the CGI is kind of taken away. Like some of that, it's a good fun practical nature. Like, I love practical effects. Like Jurassic Park, the reason it works so well is because it's a mixture between practical and so like you have to have a little bit in there to make it like you have to have something real there
It,
sometimes.
I mean, alone Jurassic Park you're talking about looks beautiful today, and it looks better than any of the CGI. Like this movie, I think if you were to take it today, with the practical, and then you were to mix it in just those few scenes you need the CG, it would be visually beautiful. But the older effects that were, I call them CG, but I know they're
Just the
like
visual
technically
effects
not.
they were using.
Yeah, visual effects. They work because the movie is a period piece. So it gives to me this like classic feel of this adventure of what Spielberg and Lucas were kind of going for, of this like camp. Because the movie does have
Yeah,
a camp to it. I mean, it sets itself in a realism of of this world, but there is that camp where like Harrison loves to turn to the camera and kind of like stop to make a joke.
it's true. And then and what you were saying about the visual effects earlier, like and it being like a kind of like almost having that feel like of an older movie. Like it was being kind of like a period piece in itself. Like it was an older movie made in a modern time.
Yeah.
Like like there's that one scene where they're over the tomb, like that they find the ark in, or I guess the whatever like chamber that they find it in, like and the clouds that come in while they're digging it up and everything. Like that reminded me of like the Ten Commandments, like those older style
Oh yeah, with the
films, the way they did the visual effects and the backgrounds. Like it doesn't look like it's very real, but it's still cool to see that type of thing. Like because they don't really do anything like that now.
mhm.
Like it's all
Well, yeah,
just computer.
they were all matte paintings, you know.
Yeah,
So I think it works so well, and this movie and just the way it's handled and who Indy is, I don't think it would be made the same today. It'd be so different. I have a bad feeling that we would have gotten like I haven't seen it, but like the newer Mummy
yeah. We
today.
would, or like what a lot of people have been clamoring for is Uncharted.
Yeah,
They're like that would be the modern day Indiana Jones, and that's what everyone wants. But they would take it too seriously.
it
It
would
would
not.
end up like how Tomb Raider ended up. Like it would just
It would not be Indiana
just like
Jones. It would be like you said, like it'd be an Uncharted and Indy. I mean, lack of a better word, he'd be very like pussified today. Um,
yeah,
you know, he wouldn't compare to like Han and how like Lucas edited out the shooting first. Indy would not shoot first, but guess what? Indy shoots first.
he
Also,
definitely did. Oh, he definitely does.
and today he would not. I have a full confidence that he would have to wait till the danger arises to do something. That awesome scene with
His whip would
the
be used for
sheik
everything.
and
Like he wouldn't do anything but the whip, pretty
yeah.
much.
I mean, I have a note that this movie is speaking of that is so violent and it's awesome. Like I love that he shoots him and that like 80s red blood comes out.
Oh yeah, like that was another thing that like it was very like the blood and everything was like crystal clear.
Mm-hmm.
Like when it splattered, it looked like it was just paint.
Well,
Like
well, back then,
yeah,
I know this from well, at least I knew this from a much darker movie, but from Taxi Driver, that was an MPA thing.
all right,
The blood couldn't be like too realistic. So, I mean, this is PG. I think it's a few years before PG-13 came out. So,
yeah, it would have definitely been a PG-13 movie.
I would say so. I'm just going through my notes and like we're just jumping right into it. Is I even love it just after that really awesome intro. You know, with the ball and the practicality, and we get to him as a professor, and I just I love how they're like, yeah, it's Harrison Ford. He's hot, and the students want to bang him, and
Yes.
he's
That
like
one girl
blushed
with
about
the
it.
love you on
Yeah,
her eyelids.
I love that. That's hysterical. That's
Yes.
hysterical. Today you'd have some weird like Michael Bay Transformers 7 scene where it's like she's of
Oh,
age.
no, you'd end up with the exact thing that we got in the last one with the laminated card.
That's what I was
That's
referring.
what you get. That's
That's
the equivalent.
that's what I was referring to. But
Yeah.
um, but and then even from then, I just going through my notes. You have it like
Yeah.
Indy lives like I know it's in the 50s, but it's so tell like you know the guy who sets him on the Ark mission shows up, and he lives such like a swagged out life. He's in the robe, and you could tell like he lives a fun life when he's not out on adventures.
Like he's definitely well off. He's a professor, and he gets to go on adventures everywhere. So and he's a bachelor too. So
But
it clearly means he would probably have nice things.
but Randall, does he actually teach?
No, that man. Oh man, I'm telling you, I definitely saw it. This man cannot spell Neolithic, and this man's supposed to be an anthropology professor.
Well,
I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all.
well, he's the anthropology professor who fucks, so maybe he can't spell that
That's fair enough.
well.
And he knows how to use a whip, though.
Marion probably likes that one a lot. This reminds me. I have a note down, and this reminds me of later on. And I bet you James Bond. So I'm bringing Bond into this. Indiana Jones is James Bond's spirit animal because like James Bond is always so like tight knit, but he likes to let like inside. He probably likes to let loose and wishes he was more like an Indiana Jones. It's just this weird note I wrote down.
Interesting. I never even thought about that, but you're making a lot of sense right now, and kind of blowing my mind.
Well, it was that last. I'm really jumping around here. It was that last scene, or one of the last scenes when they're on the boat and they're kidnapped. It really reminded me of an older Bond film. So I was like just thinking about that. But back to the beginning of the movie, you know, Mary. So I'm gonna go right into Marion when we get to her. I think she's so badass.
She was drinking that dude under the table. Like that's the first thing you see of her, and then you find out she owns the bar. What?
In Nepal? It's
what?
Yeah. But my first note of that is like she would have been like blacked out.
Yeah, they were going hard. Like that dude fell over.
Like she looks like she could like drive a car after that.
She did. She was like perfectly fine. She was getting ready. She was trying to fight those dudes.
Yeah, I mean, I think when she was sipping out of the barrel when they were in the gunfight, when the Nazis came, I think she's just a raging alcoholic, probably.
That would kind of make sense. Like she was kind of. I guess she was kind of getting over her whole indie thing at that time too, because of whatever they had going on back in the past.
Well. Yeah, I really like the aspect of the storytelling, and I mean, we haven't even mentioned this is Lawrence Kasdan's second film.
That's crazy.
It's such a well written script. I mean, you don't need the whole backstory. You find out, all right, Indy worked with her father, and he goes to see her father's dead, and there's no hang up on that, and we're into the story. I get that they had a relationship, but now it's moving on and.
Great storytelling. That's what cinema is missing now. We need everything has to be all this proposition. Everything. We have to know everything before we can get to what we actually need to know. It's like just tell good stories and make good characters. It'll work.
Yeah, I was gonna say back to the day. I don't need to know where the cheese was made. I just want to see the cheese being eaten.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Like yeah.
And
give us just enough to go on.
Yeah. So I love that. And I think she actually is the only thing, speaking of how we keep comparing if it was made today, that she would say very similar today. She's very much like a modern woman, and I love that.
And I wonder, I'm trying to think, like, and a lot of people, I know they had that whole thing recently with Elizabeth Banks and Spielberg not having strong women characters in movies, and I get that with it being an Indiana Jones movie, but like it's not totally. There have been like sidekicks, but even though they kind of
she works though. I think she just works as I think you put it well, as a good sidekick. She's not.
Yeah,
She works as a good sidekick.
she definitely, and that's how they delegate her role in the movie, which is fine.
Yeah,
But like, and maybe if they would have used her more in like the later films, like
yeah.
I guess I don't know if she comes
Well,
back in the third one.
and no, I don't believe she does. In the second one, they do switch over to the like more like bimbo.
Because in the second one actually takes place before this one.
Off the top of my head, that's one I have to revisit. I
I
don't
I think
remember.
Temple of Doom takes place like a few years before Raiders.
That makes sense then. No, she just pops up in Crystal Skull. She got increasingly better as the film went on too.
That is true. Like she definitely did seem like in the earlier stuff, like as it goes on, like she did seem like to kind of be a little bit more like withdrawn, and I don't know if that was because she was afraid to like kind of open up and like.
I think so.
But,
Um,
I don't know, maybe it was just that maybe she just needed to get angry.
yeah,
Like, because as soon as she got angry, like that's when all bets were off. Like she was kicking, throwing, and she was like, "Get off me, Andy! I don't want anything to do with you."
yeah.
If it wasn't for her, Andy might have got an ass whooped by that big German dude at the end.
Oh, I have a comment about that. What you talking about? The bald one with the mustache?
Yeah,
I
the
wrote.
Mike Bronson.
You wrote Bronson. I forgot Vladimir Putin meets up with him. I know you just. I looked over at my like TV for like a half a second. I was like, wait a minute.
They put a mustache on Putin, didn't they?
Is the shirt off and he's. But
that would be his disguise. He just shave his head and put a mustache on.
I do like speaking of that ending like fight though, it lasts but it doesn't like they're never upping the ante of each fight scene. They're all kind of this like very consistent.
Yeah,
Um,
I can agree with that. Like they definitely they weren't trying to up the ante like with any of the action. Like you said, like it's a Spielberg movie, so he evenly paces his movies out. Like there's never really a dull spot
no.
to be had. Like even in the spots that are just purely dialogue, like it's people interacting with each other, like and it making sense, and like it would almost feel organic and real.
Yeah.
Like how you would want it in a film, and that's one of like the main characteristics I love about his films is actually the people in a room talking with each other, even with all the other crazy stuff going on outside of it.
Well, there's no like consistent exposition monster running around.
Yeah, you don't need it. You have the overarching story, and you're just fumbling along throughout and along for the ride with the characters, pretty much.
Yeah, I love that you have you put that out like I wrote in my notes. No time is wasted. It has to do with that Steven Spielberg pacing, which he had down from the day he started making films.
Yeah, like anytime, as soon as he started, he created the modern day summer blockbuster, and like that, like of course he was only going to get better at it after Jaws.
Well,
like,
yeah,
and he consistently showed it, like even up through Jurassic Park, like even Lost World, like it made money. It
oh
made a
yeah.
ton of money.
I mean,
people will say it's bad.
This this was a bona fide hit. Its budget was 18 million, which was pretty modest back then. It was pretty decent.
You can tell they definitely spent more in other areas and less in some others.
But its box office was, and this is just off Box Office Mojo, so I don't know if it's been added on at the time, but this is just domestic. It was 212 million and 222,000.
Yeah, no, I can believe it's probably been
hit.
Inflated a little bit over time.
Yeah,
but
huge hit.
So, like off 18 million, like that's still impeccable numbers.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
like,
and this movie, it sounds weird today because of how we have our blockbusters, but it was an Oscar darling. It had 9 nominations.
That's insane.
It won 4 technical wins, including editing. But it did get nominated for Best Picture and Director. It just got beat out by Chariots of Fire.
Which who's talking about that movie now?
Just the score, which I believe won. The score also won for not The Chariots of Fire score, not Raiders.
Yeah,
That was
no, yeah, no.
nominated.
Like I love John Williams. Like personally, I wouldn't say this is his best score, I mean, best work that he's ever done, but like
No,
it's definitely super memorable. Like
well,
like I said before.
what was funny is when I was looking this up, I think from just looking at the nominations of this is 1981, um, or with Oscars 1982, they uh, it would have actually the second in line next to Chariots of Fire would have been a movie called Reds.
Hmm.
Personally, I've never heard of it, but
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what it was.
that looked like that was the second, that was I think it was a Warren Beatty movie, and he won Best Director for it. And I'm probably very wrong, and someone's gonna yell at me, but
Well, you know what? We can't all be right, especially when we haven't seen something. Okay.
yeah, and then that ending, dude. This whole end with the face melting and that practical effects, and I mean, hey, we have a sky beam, but before sky beams got annoying.
It was a heavenly sky beam, and it was glorious. It was pretty much the wrath of God coming down upon Earth. Like I loved how they dispatched the Nazis, just like chain lightning through all of them. Just
Yeah.
reminded me of like playing some video games. It's like it's a little bit, we got a little Star Wars in there too. Some
Of course,
some lightning in there, guys.
It was Lucas, and then of course, by the way, it was Warren Beatty for Reds. So, but of course, like Marion and Indy are saved by just like a pole with all that fire. I like to chalk it up, or I should say, like a piece of wood they're chained to. I'd like to chalk it up to just being more like they were good-hearted, and that they weren't taken by like the lightning and the death, and they closed their eyes, and that fire.
I honestly think it's because they didn't. They didn't. It probably has a little bit to do with that, but I literally think it comes down to they didn't like open their eyes and try and gaze upon the Lord.
Oh no, that's a really good take. I'm sure that's more it.
Because that's like a whole thing. Like you're not supposed to be able to hear the actual voice or like look at like God without like bursting into flames yourself.
Yeah, no, that's more. But I mean, it's a way to end.
And it's the melting. Like you said, that whole effect is pretty iconic, and it's one of the coolest effects in cinema history.
Oh, that end is awesome.
Yeah.
And then
it's like, oh, so great.
And then the very end is weirdly, and this is like that minimal thing, and it's more of like a choice, like a filmmaking thing that I think Spielberg had, is to have that ending of just like, nope, it's put away in a warehouse somewhere that never ends.
All right, so I also have something else that was a little weird. I thought about it because you know how like the Nazis they put it in a wooden crate too.
Yeah,
but like in their wooden crate, it burned the Nazi symbol on the outside of it that they had branded on the wood.
Of
like
course.
It burned like and turned that whole side of the crate black.
Yeah,
but like on the one that said U.S. government, I was like, why isn't it burning it?
Yeah, because the Nazis stink and we're amazing. So,
and that was another thing that I was saying. I was like, maybe it was a stylistic choice, but at the same time, I was like, isn't that similar to like worshiping idols and blah blah
yeah.
blah?
Yeah, I don't think Raiders of the Lost Ark has like a strong message.
I hope it doesn't.
No, but I think like we keep bringing it back to like today. I think there'd be some sort of message takeaway. I really think at the end of the day, this was just a movie to say, hey, this is a fun movie.
That is something that is just missing from like even the movies that try to be just fun. Like we'll use Jurassic World as an example.
Jurassic World is fun while you're watching it, I think, at least the first time.
When you think about it, it's just like, ugh.
Yeah. Well, so I gotta ask, what is there anything that like you don't that you didn't connect with in this movie or didn't really like?
Like other than like a few like the spots, but like after like thinking about it and like even just like some of the things you've said while we've been talking, like I'm trying to think about it, like I get like it's all forgivable, like in the sense of what they were trying to do, and what they delivered, and like for basically, and you also have to base age on it, and the fact that Lucas didn't try and go back and update all of it like he did Star Wars. uh, so
This. Oh, sorry.
that's fine. Like, but so basically, I guess I don't know. I really can't think of too many things. Like maybe the sound effects, like that was probably the most jarring thing.
It's
Sometimes, like that would take me out. Like even just the gun sounded weird. The punching was a little.
that's funny
Like
because
just the Foley art like sound was a little off for me.
that's funny that you mentioned that because that's what this mainly won their Oscars for was sound, and I'm pretty sure it's the same crew who did Star Wars and like those whip sound effects, which what I was reading about is usually they would take all the sound effects from different things, but actually the whips were just literally from recording whip practice.
Yeah, like the whip sounded good. It was just everything. Like when they punched, it sounded like hitting a bag of sand. When the gun
Yeah.
like there was Wilhelm screams in there.
I was gonna say this
Like
is a movie riddled with Wilhelm screams,
yeah,
but overall, I mean, do you would you watch this movie again?
yeah. This is like the third time in the span of a week. So like
So,
I would definitely watch this again. Like
all
I'm
right,
planning on watching Temple of Doom soon and following up with Last Crusade.
nice. I
I haven't seen that one, so might as well go ahead and round them all out. And I don't need to see Chris Hill again. I've seen him.
nah.
I'm
Maybe
good. I'm
maybe
good.
like get some buddies together and like get a bunch of drinks and watch
I don't
Crystal
need to see
Skull.
Shia swinging with monkeys. I'm good.
But yeah. So I think this movie really does have a lot of rewatchability.
Oh yeah, it's definitely. I would say it holds up. It's a classic. It's an American classic. It wouldn't be one of like considered one of the like great films in American cinema history. Like if it wasn't as good as it is.
Of course. So any other thoughts on Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Um, other than like, I personally think that this like is one of Harrison Ford's like strongest like performances like as a character in general. Like seeing this character, like I see Han Solo in him, but it almost
Hmm.
feels like Han Solo was like the proto Indiana.
Yeah.
Like it's just he's a polished Han Solo, just with like living in our world, and he's just stranded on our world and living in a weird time.
That's funny that like, you mentioned like the Han Solo part of it is because at first I think that especially because Star Wars is so prevalent right now, but I instantly forget it and I just start believing him as indie.
Yeah, and I when I look at him, like I honestly think that Indiana Jones is his best character that he's probably played.
Not his character from Hollywood Homicide.
See, I haven't even seen that, so I don't even know.
Oh, you don't want to. It was a joke. It's a
Well,
bad movie.
I see that, and I'm sorry that I ruined it. I'm so
It's
sorry.
no. It's a bad movie with Josh Hartnett. I'm glad you haven't heard of it.
Yeah, oof, that sounds bad.
Yeah. Um, but no. And the other note I have that I was very much like, I don't think I could be Indiana Jones because when he got to that snake pit, and I know that's his like biggest bugaboo, I'd be like, nope, I'm going home.
You had me. They had me at the tarantulas. I was the snakes. I can deal with the tarantula. I was like, nah, I'm good.
Nah.
Another one last thing, like that probably really like draws me and like makes this movie interesting to me is like the whole history aspect of it and bringing like the Nazis and the occult
Yeah.
into it
Yeah.
because that was like something that Hitler was very big in, and like they went all around the world searching for all the different types, searching for Hollow Earth,
Mm.
like trying to prove all those theories. And like I've always found that aspect of what they did very interesting, that they were just searching for all this
Oh, definitely,
ancient
dude.
stuff and legends. So like to be able to like see it in a movie and it turn into like an action adventure that's even blown up to this spectacle, even though like I know it's meant to be a spectacle versus actually being historically accurate, like it's fun because it's throwing in something in history that I find interesting.
It's
So,
yeah, dude. It's still a lot of fun.
so
Nah, man.
that's the last note I got on Raiders.
Oh, great. All right. And this is just kind of formality, but are you glad you saw it?
Yeah, so 100%. Like I'm
I
just
could
like
tell.
kicking myself. Like I can't believe I haven't seen this before.
I could tell. But all right, Randall. This has been awesome. And
It's
where,
great. Thanks for having me.
of course, and hope to have you again. I'm sure there's other things we could fill you in on.
Oh yeah, plenty. Saving Private Ryan, haven't seen that one. Braveheart, haven't seen that.
we could
Uh,
we could definitely like tackle all of those at a later date.
yep,
Uh,
there's plenty. There's a whole bunch in there. So
where could the good folks find you?
you can find me on Twitter at Randall Sans. I'm sure it'll be down below or wherever this is posted. You'll find it somewhere.
Great.
But I'm there. Come yell at me.
Perfect. All right, and you could find me at Chendango on Twitter. Please like and subscribe.